speakers. Can I just say VP? Is her title somewhere in here?
Don't worry.
Okay.
It's on VP. Just don't say it. And then John.
Yeah, I got him already. Okay. Ready? Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome. Thank you for being here. I hate to be too Canadian, but show of hands, who has their snow tires on already? All right, you win. You're winning. Good morning. My name is Su-Ling Ching, and I'm the President and CEO of the Ottawa Board of Trade. On behalf of Mayor Mark Sutcliffe, the Ottawa Board of Trade, and the Ottawa Business Journal, welcome to the November Mayor's Breakfast, another sell-out event. I'm joined this morning by my co-presenter, Mr. Michael Curran, who is the President and Publisher of the Ottawa Business Journal, our premier business media outlet. We hope that you are enjoying a productive and successful fall season, but now it's winter, frankly, and we are thrilled to be gathered here, more than 220 of us, I think, this morning in our beautiful City Hall in downtown Ottawa. Ottawa is built on unceded Algonquin and Anishinaabe territory. The peoples of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation have lived on this territory for millennia. Their culture and presence have nurtured and continue to nurture this land. We honor the peoples and land of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation. We honor all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples and their valuable past and present contributions to this land. I want to say thank you for the team here at City Hall for hosting us so well, and to our event partners at Centurion. How did you enjoy your breakfast this morning? Fantastic. I think they were here in the wee hours preparing for us today. And of course, thank you to our friends at Rogers TV for what do you call it? Broadcasting us live. Thank you. This is my first go-around. No. Congratulations and thank you all for being here, for investing your time and energy in the growth of our business community and the building of our city. I hope that you've made good connections here this morning, and I know that you will find our conversation here this morning with our mayor and our special guests to be very valuable. I want to make a special welcome to our board chair, Brendan McGinty of Strategies 360, our past chair, Ian Sherman of Relationship Capital, and our board members who are joining us this morning, Rick Chase of Gifford Carr, David Coletto of Abacus Data, Sasha Guerra of GSI, and Andrew Arnott from RBC. We are grateful for your steadfast leadership and dedication to our community. I would also like to acknowledge our OBOT ambassadors. These are members and volunteers of the Board of Trade who make it their business to make sure our members are welcome and well-connected and oriented. So thank you to the chair of our ambassadors, Linda McCallum of Royal LePage Team Realty. Also welcome to Megan Connolly from Intega IT and John Nelson from Carleton University. Thank you for your dedication to our business community. If you are not yet a member of the Ottawa Board of Trade, which I doubt you aren't, then you can see these ambassadors to talk about what the benefits of membership are, and of course you're always welcome to reach out to our team. Please join me in welcoming Councillor Marty Carr, Councillor Kathy Curry, and Councillor Ralston King. We know that you've had a busy few weeks here at City Hall, and we really appreciate your leadership and dedication to our community. And last, but certainly not least, welcome to our very special guest this morning, Sir Terry Matthews. Thank you for being here this morning. The Ottawa Board of Trade is the voice of business and a key advocate for economic development in our nation's capital. Our mission is to cultivate a thriving, world-class business community, one that drives affordable, inclusive, and sustainable city building. It is to that end that I encourage all of you to finish this year strong by getting involved in our community. The strength of our economy and our ability to maintain a competitive business environment directly correlates to the willingness of our local leaders to work together and support our elected officials and each other in shaping the future of our city. After all, that's how this city got built in the first place. Last month, we celebrated small business because SMEs are the heart and soul of our community and our economy. Many of them were disproportionately impacted by the pandemic, especially in certain sectors like hospitality and in certain areas like our downtown. And they continue to face barriers. During the pandemic, we worked with our economic partners to create a Buy Local campaign. So during these uncertain times, let's make every month a celebration of small business. You can visit ottawabot.ca for lists of local businesses through our BIA directories and our OBOT member marketplace, which is powered by our local startup, FanSaves. Buy, promote, and refer to local businesses first as a matter of your personal and professional policy. #BuyLocalOttawa. Last week, I had the honor of serving on a panel along with today's special guest, Mr. Matthews, as well as Minister Suds, Michael Tremblay of Invest Ottawa, and Amanda Gordon of Canada North Business Association. I want to say thank you to you, Michael, and EY for inviting me to be part of this Techopia initiative to promote our strong tech ecosystem. The key takeaway that night for me was that we have many strengths to build on in Ottawa, and a big part of our ability to realize our full potential is to tell the Ottawa story well. There are several online resources available to you as an Ottawa ambassador, including the Ottawa brand toolkits at canadainonecity.ca, at Ottawa Tourism, Why Ottawa at Invest Ottawa, and Come to Ottawa.ca, which was created by the City, OBOT, Tourism, and Invest Ottawa, as well as publications like Techopia and our Capital magazine, which is publishing our newest edition later this month. So we invite all of you to tell our Ottawa story, share our opportunities as a way of building up Ottawa today and for the next generation. Use #MyOttawa and Mon Ottawa. Earlier this week, we hosted the CEO Talk featuring our new CEO of the Ottawa Senators. And did we win last night? Yes, did I hear that? I heard that. I'm kidding. Of course I know we won last night. There was so much excitement in that room, similar to what we saw at last month's Mayor's Breakfast when we hosted Michael Amlauer. The vision is clear. Get the cup. That's the vision. And he was able to share with us their plan, which includes all of us supporting as raving fans. We were also thrilled to host the event at the new Canaxis headquarters, and their CEO, John Sicard, shared his thoughts as a top business leader on workplace wellness and city building through sports, entertainment, arts, and culture. One more request and an idea on how you can get involved. The Ontario Chamber Confidence Survey closes this week. The Ontario agenda and policy setting is critical to Ottawa, and we use this data to advocate to Queen's Park throughout the year. The Ottawa response right now is lagging, and so please take a few minutes to complete that survey. You can find the link in our newsletter and all our social channels. Lastly, we continue to host events to inform and inspire you, and one of the best ones is coming up soon, the Best of Ottawa Business Awards. Please join us for a night of celebration of businesses and leaders that make this amazing city what it is and what it will be. We are over 70% sold out, so please reserve your spot today. For our part, the Ottawa Board of Trade continues to advocate on your behalf at every level of government. In addition, we remain focused on top priorities of our economic growth agenda, and later this month, we are hosting a downtown summit to deliberate the early findings of our Downtown Ottawa Action Plan. Over the last few months, we've been working with many key partners, including the City, Ottawa Tourism, Invest Ottawa, Ecobia, BOMA, and the NCC, and have engaged the services of urban experts at the Canadian Urban Institute. We have been convening with elected officials and staff at the federal government and local business leaders to discuss areas of collaboration and opportunity. We look forward to launching a campaign later this month and finalizing our action plan early next year. Meanwhile, we encourage you to keep supporting the downtown core as we transform it into a more diverse, more resilient, and vibrant area. This work and other key advocacy and economic development work could not be done without the OBOT Pillar Partners. So thank you to Meridian Credit Union, Colonnade Bridgeport, the National Capital Commission, Enbridge Gas, Quadreal Property Group, Bentall Green Oak, and CF Rideau Centre for your leadership in this business community. We welcome new partners as we continue to expand our efforts to create a competitive business environment and fine-tune our attention on key objectives like small business support, advancing high-growth areas in downtown transformation. Policy matters. The Board of Trade was created to be the voice of business. Together, there is so much we can do. Please join as a member or pillar partner so we can build up Ottawa today and for the next generation. Thank you. As we kick off this morning's breakfast, may I recognize the great organizations and businesses that support this very popular speaker series. Our lead sponsor, Hydro Ottawa, Algonquin College, our global partner, Casino Lac Limi, Commissionaires, Enbridge, the Ottawa Senators Hockey Club, RBC, the Weston, Zen Books, our global partner Oakwood, our AV sponsor Edelman, our speaker gift sponsor Iman Hardin, our food sponsor Collège La Cité, our coffee sponsor Capital Office. Thank you to all of these sponsors for making this event possible. And now it's my pleasure to introduce one of two sponsors who are going to be with us here this morning. I would like to welcome to the podium Marjolaine Houdon from RBC. Marjolaine.
Bon matin tout le monde. It's always so nice to see so many of you for the mayor's breakfast. And this morning I'm just over the moon because I have the pleasure of introducing Terry. And I thought I would share, you know everything about Terry, right? And I said, when we're going to talk about it, I thought I would share with you the first time I met Terry. Just picture this, right? First time I meet Sir Terry Matthew. We're in the middle of the very serious conversation. And then he looks at me and he says, "Have you seen the dragon?" The dragon? No, I haven't seen the dragon. I'm wondering, am I confused here? Did I lose anything in translation? And so, so for a little while, I'm thinking, is this one of his new tech venture? I'm just going like this a bit. But eventually, I realized that what Terry was talking about is this massive, 10-meter high Welsh red dragon just outside of his hotel in Wales. But what I did realize, most importantly, is that he's very, very proud of his roots. What I realized as well, he likes to dream big. What I realized as well is that he likes to tell a good story. Very proud of his origin, and certainly very passionate about everything that he does. Terry, you should be very proud of what you've accomplished. You've been recognized as a fisher of the Order of British Empire. You've also been knighted by the Queen Elizabeth. You've also received, here at home, the highest honor, Officer of the Order of Canada. We are certainly very proud of you. Why? Because for over 5 decades, you've established very deep roots in Ottawa. You stayed. You invested in Ottawa, and you've created jobs.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
And let's not forget all the great work that you support through Wesley Clover Park Foundation. So thank you for that. So thank you for dreaming big. Thank you for believing in Ottawa. Thank you for putting our community on the map on the map from a tech perspective, a community that today is recognized as a leading innovation center. Thank you. And I promise you, next time I'm in Wales, I'm going to go and see that red dragon. Thank you.
Thank you, Marjolaine. Marjolaine, thank you. And thank you for your leadership, because I know that you do dream big, and we're very happy to have you here in Ottawa as well. And if I haven't mentioned it and you need someone to go with you to the Taylor Swift concert, I'm your girl, okay? If I haven't mentioned it yet. I would now like to bring to the podium our other featured sponsor today, Jean-Benoit Trong, Regional Director of Eastern Ontario for Enbridge Gas and President of Gasifier, providing natural gas service in Gatineau, Quebec. Jean-Benoit.
Bonjour tout le monde. Good morning, everyone. I've been here last year, almost a year ago, on that podium, and it was a very important day. I was first breakfast with the new mayor. So 1 year after I came back, I'm still Jean-Benoit. I'm still Director of Eastern Region for Enbridge Gas and President of Gasifier on the Quebec side. I've heard Mayor Sutcliffe since that time refer to Team Ottawa more than once. I love it, Team Ottawa. It says so much. And some see to hear from one of the very best of that team in Sir Terry Matthew. I am delighted to stand before you to say that Enbridge is a proud member of Team Ottawa. Je suis heureux d'être parmi vous aujourd'hui pour vous dire qu'Enbridge est un fier membre de l'équipe Ottawa. We all have a role to build and care for this city. Enbridge shares that goal, to build and care. Let me tell you how. Let's start with building. To me, that means bringing people together to talk about city issues, to chart a path for the future. That is why I am so pleased to announce that Enbridge is proud to be the title sponsor. Enbridge est fier d'être le commanditaire principal du 2024 City Building Summit. Nous reconnaissons la grande valeur que le Ottawa Board of Trade plays in city building year-round. For this reason, it also gives me pleasure for Enbridge to be a pillar partner to the board in 2024. Ensemble, avec la commandite du prix pour l'équité, la diversité et l'inclusion, together with our sponsorship of the Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Award at the upcoming Bob Awards, we are community builders. That's some of our building. Now for some of the caring. Caring means looking after old things. Often, there are things we never really see, and yet we depend on them so dearly. We have an old pipeline. Nous avons un pipeline vieillissant installé entre 1958 et 1962. The Central Pipeline was installed between 1958 and 1962. It's more than 60 years old. It needs care. In a few months, Enbridge will be applying for permission to replace 21 kilometers of Central Pipeline with the Ontario Energy Board. The board will make its decision based on the technical evidence we have collected in last year and a half. The board will also consider the community's input. Safety and reliability are our top priorities at Enbridge. This pipeline serves Parliament Hill, this magnificent city halls, hospitals, and through a 5,000 kilometers of network, 3 of every our homes in this city. It provides heat and energy to one of the coldest capitals in the world, and we can understand that today. It's not so cold, but it begins. If approved, it will mean construction and the disruption that comes with it. We pledge as smooth an operation as we can deliver, but you don't need to be a cardiologist to know you've got to look after the pipes. It is a big investment to maintain it in a state of good repair, but the benefits are clear. C'est un grand investissement qu'il est nécessaire de faire pour maintenir le service actuel, mais les bénéfices sont clairs. It means we can blend and transport renewable natural gas from farms and there's a lot of in the eastern region. Landfills and wastewater treatment. It really is the pipeline for the eventual integration of low-carbon gases, including hydrogen. This is part of the energy transition. C'est une partie importante de la transition énergétique. We invite your support and your understanding as members of Team Ottawa. Write to us, the board, or the council. Let's all keep building and caring for the city we love. We're in this together. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Without further ado, please welcome His Worship, Mayor Mark Sutcliffe, to the podium. Thank you.
Bonjour tout le monde, je suis très heureux de vous accueillir ce matin à l'Hôtel de Ville au nom de mes collègues du Conseil municipal. I know I speak on behalf of Marty, Ralston, and Kathy when I welcome you here, and for all of us, it's really a rare opportunity this week to spend time in the council chamber. Just not spending enough time in this room this week. Things are going well at City Hall. I won't spend too much time on that, but we're very excited about the budget that was released yesterday and about our plans for Lansdowne Park. We'll be meeting again today on that, maybe tomorrow too. We'll see. But look, any morning where we wake up and the night before the Ottawa Senators have beaten the Toronto Maple Leafs is a good morning in Ottawa. So welcome to all of you, and without further ado, he's already been introduced. Everybody already knows who he is. I'm not going to read his bio. Please welcome Sir Terry Matthews.
Where would you like me to sit?
Pick a chair. Don't need the stairs.
Very good. Can you hear me at the back? We're lucky to live in Ottawa. This is a great city. Just in case you wonder why I'm living here,
I was going to ask that, but we were changing the batteries on my microphone, so I couldn't.
Anywhere, but I like it here.
Yeah.
And it's great to be with the mayor.
Thank you. It's great to be with you, and we like having you here, Terry. We love having you here, not just at City Hall, but in Ottawa. Thank you for all you've done for our community. You were telling me before we came on that you're an IP person. An IP person. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, most people would say it's Internet Protocol, but that's not IP for me.
Or intellectual property.
Imperturbable. You never get overexcited, you never get upset, you stay right on track. And the P part is persistence. I am probably the most persistent person you've ever come across. Even when you lose business, and of course, like anybody in business, sometimes you lose business. I don't give up. You lost business because there was a contract or a potential contract, but the company that won the contract might make a few mistakes, so they might have lied a little bit about what they can deliver. You'd be amazed by being persistent with that potential client, you actually knock out the company that won the contract. Persistence and being imperturbable. And for me, there's a G part. I like being global. So I've done business in almost every country. And I like different cultures. Even tonight, Mayor, the number of people that said, you know, Terry, you know, my son used to work for you. Nobody works for me. That's different. Share the ownership. Then they're working for themselves. That's a different chemistry altogether. That's the way I behave.
Love it. I want to talk about business, I want to talk about Ottawa, but I do want to talk a little bit about you, and I know you normally don't like talking about yourself because you like the story to be on your companies, but tell us a little bit about your childhood and maybe your first impressions when you came to Ottawa for the first time. So first of all, what was life like for you in Wales as a child?
Oh, this is a very funny story. I was offered a job with Microsystems International that was triple the salary that I got in the UK. If it was 10 or 20% even, I might have said, you know, frankly, things are not so bad for me. I worked in a radio laboratory, RWD, radio wave development, for what is even today, like BT, British Telecom. But I was offered this job, and the job was to run applications. That meant I'd have to go visit clients. So in 1969, my first trip to Singapore, my first trip to many US cities, as an example. So I liked that. And I would have to talk to potential clients about how the products worked. Now that became so busy, I had in my mind an 80-20 rule. Basically 80% of the incoming things, if it didn't represent business, I didn't work on it. I work on the 20%, which represents getting new sales. Well, I like generating business. That means sales. It doesn't mean to say, as an example, you know, I could never be a store owner in Canada. I could never be, you know, I own 100% of the store. No, I have to be global. I enjoy that. I enjoy different cultures, different languages. Makes a big difference in your life.
Yeah, but you were about to talk about when you first got to Ottawa, I think.
So I came to Ottawa.
You got triple the salary?
It was in July. And what's the weather like in July?
Better than today.
I had light clothing, and good God, when December came around, I could hardly believe it. But then I got to like skiing and things like that, which is very difficult to do unless it's cold. So, hey, I like that.
You adapted. But we skipped over the part about growing up in Wales. Just tell us a little bit about that, about your life when you were a child, and did you ever imagine that you'd be doing what you're doing today?
Well, I was always sort of engineering in the blood, which isn't difficult to understand because around me, the so-called valleys in South Wales were very famous for anthracite coal and steam coal. And these things, like just to get the numbers right, it typically takes for 1 ton of metal, it takes 4 or 5 tons of ore and 20 tons of fuel, anthracite coal or whatever. Well, do you take the ore to the coal or the coal to the ore? Well, that's not a very difficult thing to understand. So, you know, you go back even 200 years ago, is that this is where steel was found, how to make steel, how to make copper, very complicated, how to make tin plate. And so these facilities that learned how to make metal, it's all around me. Coal mines, all around me. Well, okay, you'll say coal. Excuse me, like you need plumbing, electricity, mechanical engineering. They were engineering schools from the time I was very, very little. And I totally lapped it up. I loved it. And so I learned about electricity, mechanical things, and so on. It's just, that's in my blood.
And do you think of yourself as an engineer first, or as a CEO, or as a salesperson? Because you've always been great at selling your products. What do you think of yourself as first?
Well, a CEO is not very good if they don't get sales, right? I mean, I don't find that difficult to understand. So I like, basically, in business for me, share the upside, listen to what clients say they need, and I'd make copious notes, like lots and lots of notes. I mean, if you look at me personally, if in a restaurant they sell split pea soup, I'll go back because That's what I like. So different companies and different people have different likes and dislikes. So I make lots and lots of notes about what's important to them, and then I say, we can do that. Now you've really attracted them. Now you have to work at it, but you probably get that relationship going, and you probably win the business. So listen to what clients say they need in great attention. Sometimes the smallest thing can make a huge impact. We talked about winter. We talked about it's cold. I can always remember Mitel going public, and I say, you know what? All my shares are valuable now. I can get cash, so I'm going to go out and buy a new car. And I liked Lincoln Continental. I liked that. So I went to buy a Lincoln Continental, but it was January. I wanted a heated steering wheel. They didn't have one. I went down the road, Cadillac had a heated steering wheel. I bought a Cadillac. I still use Cadillacs. But good God, like, what's the lesson here? Cadillac didn't actually make the heated steering wheel. A partner company made that. So I've always liked working with partner companies and encouraging them. And there's another little part to this. You know, if you have lots of partner companies, but you have to treat them with mutual respect, you may be dealing with somebody that's a startup. The worst thing you can say is, you're little and you do as you told. Oh, you just wrecked the relationship. I don't care how small they are. You should be so lucky that they want a partner, like Cadillac and the heated steering wheel, which got me the Cadillac. They sold a car, but they didn't make the heated steering wheel.
That's a great point.
A partner company did. So I found in my career that mutual respect. So if you take a look at the number of companies that I've started up, most of them were partner companies to a bigger company. And then you take that a stage further. If you're a little company and you have a partnership with a bigger company, the mothership, let's say, and the mothership is prepared to say, well, yeah, we are partnered with them, that increases their value. Now investors say, oh, they are partnered with this bigger company. And Maya, the other side of that, which is very important, the bigger company didn't pay for the R&D. If you get it right, you have lots of partners, and the aggregate innovation, the aggregate R&D spend not only creates an ecosystem, it wins you business that you otherwise wouldn't get.
I remember you saying in a previous interview about how you don't make a product and then go see your customers. You go see your customers and then you make the product, which is a great business lesson.
Right. It's great if somebody's asking you for something rather than you try to sell it. That changes the dynamics.
So you've been in Ottawa for a long time now. You chose to stay in Ottawa. You chose to start companies here. You chose to invest in this city. You chose to build those companies here and hire lots of people in Ottawa. What is it that you love so much about Ottawa?
It's cold.
And you have a heated steering wheel.
Oh, I mean, my family's grown up here, and they love the winter. They like skating on the canal, and the summers are great. I'd like to see a direct flight to London. We do have a direct flight to Paris. But, you know, this is a great place to live. You can go anywhere. You don't get mugged. You don't get shot. You know, what a great city to live in. The people are good. They're well educated. I think if you looked at the percentage of people that are well educated, it's very high in this city. So when you deal with people, you're not dealing with dumb nuts. So it's really nice to have around you well-educated people that work hard. And by the way, you can go anywhere, any restaurant, the food is good. You know, this is a high-quality city.
It's a great city. And what is it about the tech ecosystem in Ottawa that has worked for you? I mean, you've built it as much as anyone. I don't think anybody in this city has had a greater impact on our local economy than you, frankly. But What is it about the tech ecosystem that has been beneficial to you and your companies?
Well, if you go back to the original company that I started up with Mike Copeland, I mean, that's Mitel, started up. Well, like, why did Mitel start up? I mean, you would think I was a total dumbnut because only 2 kilometers away, there were 8,000 people in R&D at Bell Northern Research. Why would somebody start up a company with $1,500 and create a company that 50 years later is still around? Like, how can such a thing happen? It's the team. And what started it up? Well, I mean, timing's important, the product's important, listen to the clients is important. Mike Copeland went to Carleton University and learned how to make op-amp filters. Now, I'm not asking you to understand that.
Thank you.
But we developed a product that was 40 times smaller than the competition. I had a little trouble trying to discover, or not discover, yeah, it is a bit of a discovery because no one else made it. What sort of selling price should that be? Again, talk to lots of clients, make copious notes, even as a startup. Had a huge impact. You imagine a single card tone receiver, pop, 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 pop. Single card, 40 times smaller. I sold it at 10% of the cost of the competition. We dominated the world market. The timing was right. It was needed worldwide. And by the way, some service providers in Canada helped me get the next product right, which became global. So the company started up first year with tone receivers. Again, 40 to 1, 10% of the selling price. First clients, a company called Plessy, another company called BC Tel. Ooh, that was a big one. So BC Tel today is TELUS, right? But nevertheless, the encouragement that ended up with the first product. So the sales grew very fast. 250,000 the first year, 1.5 billion the second year, 5.4 the third year, 11.2, 22. Ooh, did that ever grow? The investors loved it.
I'm sure they did. You've chosen not just to invest in starting, and you've started how many companies now, or been involved in starting how many companies? 200?
I think about 250.
250, okay. You've chosen not just to do that in Ottawa, but to invest in other ways. So the Brook Street Hotel, Wesley Clover Park.
Yep.
Why did you branch out into that other stuff? And I want to hear what you find appealing about that space in Ottawa.
Well, okay, it's not just that space. The issue is go global. So if you went back to the 1970s and you tried to sell something in China, even if you spoke Mandarin, you couldn't sell it. So I went down a track of saying, I don't need to own 100%. I'd rather own 50% with Mitel and the team. I'd rather have 50% of success than 100% of nothing. I find those mathematics work quite well for me. So in my career, a joint venture in China, well, the partner knows the laws, the language, the culture, and clunk, 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 and they are in country. So guess what? Mitel dominated the PBX market in China. Absolutely. And then Mexico, well, same thing, a service provider. You either had a service provider product that sold it, or you didn't sell it. And I say, okay, I'll set up a 50-50. So there was joint ventures in China, in New Zealand, in Mexico, in Chile, in Argentina, in my career, Russia. Like, how many people have had a joint venture since 1978 in China? Very few. And yet today I could talk to you about the 33 provinces, the culture. I could explain to you what to do and definitely what not to do. And you'd be amazed at these different cultures. You know, if you work via, let's say, Teams, you got a video call, and you're dealing with somebody in Saudi Arabia or the UAE, they like your product, you feel, oh, this is really good. Now I'm going to fly over to Dubai and sign a contract. The meeting's at 8 a.m. to sign the contract. You made a gross error. You're tired. You sat down and you crossed your legs because you're a little bit tired, and they can see the bottom of your feet. You're not going to get that contract. That's worse than spitting on them. But if you didn't know that, you just screwed that business up. And by the way, I notice you're nodding like this. If you were in Bulgaria, Sofia's the capital, would you like a beer? That means no. This means yes.
Right. Just making sure my feet are both firmly on the ground here.
Getting to like cultures, you don't have to speak the language, but understand the culture. If you want to do global business, you have to know what to do, but even more important, what not to do.
Of course. Okay, but I want to take it back to Wesley Clover Park and the Brook Street.
Horses?
Yep.
Okay, I don't ride horses, but like a lot of people do.
Yep.
And little kids, oh, you know, it's even emotional that a little 8, 9, 10-year-old will say, this is the best day of my life. What an incredibly thing to hear from a young kid who just rode a horse.
So why did you get into the space of investing in Wesley Clover Park, and what do you see as the potential for that? You do so many things there, international events. I know there was just a big Halloween event that was happening, and there's going to be a Christmas thing that people can drive through. What excites you about that?
God, you're asking some tough questions here, Mayor. Well, I've long been a believer that in the world of hospitality, and many, but not 100% of businesses, but certainly hospitality, hotels, restaurants, the parks, and so on, location is the number one item, visibility. The second most important item is location. The third most important item is location. You see, you can't miss those parks. I don't care if you're driving at 150K an hour, you can't miss it. You can't miss it. So if you went to some of the other hospitality things I'm involved in, you can't miss them. Location, 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 location.
Yeah. What do you see as the future of Wesley Clover Park and what it can bring to Ottawa? Because I know you're very passionate about that, and you've talked about how we're bringing international events to this city and what that's driving for our economy.
Well, you came to the Major League event. What else in Ottawa attracted Bill Gates and his family? Sorry. So the good news is it's attracting very, very wealthy people, and some of them tech titans. So what do we do there? We have a lot of land that's sitting in that spot. It's a great spot, 416, 417. Now the light rail going right by. I mean, DND's right next door. I mean, we should be so lucky that we have a location like that. So what do we do today? Well, there's soccer parks there, not just one. There's about 10 for people to play soccer. There's the jumping events, which is very attractive. If you wanted some fertilizer, I'm happy to arrange a truck to come around with about 5 tons of fertilizer for you. So, no, it's just as time goes on, we'll keep building attraction there. Might be pickle, or it might, God knows. But take another example, magic of lights, and back to location. You can't miss it. Those lights you can see from New York. I overstated it for a fact, but nevertheless, visibility, location, and the number of families that go around magic of lights, absolutely unbelievable. So I like the hospitality side. It does allow me to attract sometimes clients, and then you spend time with them. Life is about relationships. It's like golf. I don't play golf. Then how come I have 2 golf courses in Ottawa? I have 5 golf courses in the UK. One of them is the Ryder Cup. Another 2 are championship courses. Good God. Like, why do I do that? If I want to meet with the CEO of AT&T, one of the biggest service providers in the world, I can go to the office to meet, and somebody 5 minutes after the meeting has 1 hour says, oh, you're going to have someone else waiting. Oh, but he likes golf. I can have breakfast. We talk about all kinds of things. So if you wish to attract some of the top industries, make sure you've got good hospitality. It's not complicated. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
If it isn't written, can't be read.
That's why quality of life is so important in Ottawa if we're going to attract talent, if we're going to attract entrepreneurs, if we're going to attract customers. What you and I have spoken a few times since I became mayor about the future of Ottawa and what you see as the future. You've talked as well about the future of technology and how Ottawa needs to be positioned in certain areas. So I'd love to hear from you on your advice for Ottawa and how we can capitalize on where technology is going and what else you want to see in Ottawa.
Well, isn't it interesting that you bring this subject up? The world, more than 100 years ago, was based on communications with wires, electricity with wires. But let's go to the communication side. Isn't it interesting that as we speak for the last few years, BT has been pulling wires out of the ground and selling it for copper metal of 1.5 billion pounds a year? Well, if the copper wire comes out, you can't get a telephone connected with that copper wire. They just removed it. Why can they do that? Well, because everybody's moving to wireless. My guess is even within this room, there's Wi-Fi. That's my guess. My guess is there might even be private 5G. That's my guess. So it's wireless, 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 wireless. I don't find that difficult to understand. So the whole world is moving to wireless technology. Now you look at Ottawa. The biggest wireless lab for Ericsson is here. Nokia is here. Dell is here. Syntronic is here. The universities are bringing new grads into play that understand wireless. Why would Dell, this is a major company, they make more PCs than anybody on the planet. They could have put a lab anywhere. Why did they come to Ottawa? Because we have the talent in wireless. Then the question is, what do you use the wireless for? Do you use the wireless just for mobile phones? Do you use it within a room and look at temperature and monitor the temperature and adjust it to go either hotter or colder? Do you have it in factories that make food and they want to make the sugar percentage is right? It goes on and on and on. This is called the world of IoT. You ask me about the future. As we speak, Carleton has a program, Sector it's called, for compound semiconductors. Why do I say, you see, I do know the world of semiconductors. Like Mitel Semiconductor became a global, really great for Canada. So here we go, compound semiconductors. NRC has a compound semiconductor facility. Then a group which is Canada-wide called CMC. They have a program called Fabric. This is for design and fabrication of compound semiconductors, because that's the world of IoT devices, and almost all of them will be wireless connected. Oh, good God. And then not only that, yes, it will be connected to the cloud, but not as much as today. The data will be held locally. Now you're talking about cloud computing brought back to edge compute. Now, those people in tech, and there's a lot in this room, will recognize a move to more edge compute, a move to towards IoT devices, more and more wireless connectivity, plus all the things that go with it, management of the entire infrastructure, security, and clink, clink, clink. Good news, we have that here. That's the future. And the good news is, it's a future with extreme growth, and it's global. I love that.
That's exciting for Ottawa. Last question, is there, of all the things you've accomplished in your career, is there any one that is the greatest source of pride or satisfaction for you? Is there anything that you reflect on and think?
You mean with respect to Ottawa?
No, for you. For you,
well,
is there
I live
one?
in Ottawa. I mean, that's good for me. The universities are really good. The original product came from op-amp filters that came with Mike Copeland, who took a PhD in filters at Carleton University.
Yeah.
We used that to create a product. The product became global. It made very fast growth, very fast profits. There's one other thing, is that I like this subject of partnering.
Yeah.
The partner companies, many of them are right here in Ottawa. Some of them have become very global and very big, and they started off being partner companies to a bigger company that was Mitel, a bigger company that was Newbridge, doing R&D that's not on the income statement of the mothership.
Yeah. And I know that's why you have at the Brook Street, you have it all laid out on the wall of the relationship between all the different
We're going to play that up
and,
even more.
Yeah.
Some walls have been left empty specifically to play up Ottawa tech.
There's a great story to tell. But for you, is there a big source of pride? Like, what's your greatest source of pride?
Well, it's to keep a low profile. You see, it might surprise people, you know. I was knighted in Buckingham Palace. I did that because my parents thought it was really good. I wouldn't have done that. I like to keep a low profile. I tell my kids, no, not a chauffeur-driven Rolls-Royce. Drive a half-ton rusted truck. You don't have to lock it. Nobody's going to steal it. Oh, you pull up to a traffic light and there's a brand new Mercedes right there. The person driving that is very concerned in case it gets scratched by the rusted truck. It's a much better way of living. Keep a low profile. Don't become a Donald Trump. If Donald Trump was in this room, 90% of the people there would be armed guards. I like to go out on a bike ride without any armed guards. I like living in Ottawa.
We like having you here.
Thank you.
As I said, Terry, I don't think there's anybody who's had a greater impact on Ottawa's economy over the last 50 years. You're a legend. Thank you so much for everything you have done for our community. And thank you, despite the fact that you like to keep a low profile, for joining us at the Mayor's Breakfast this morning.
That's because you invited me.
Sir Terry,
Program is brought to you by the Ottawa branch of the National Association of Federal Retirees, protecting federal pensions and benefits since 1963. Visit federalretirees.ca to learn more.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
This is a brain in urgent need of mental health care. But because 3 out of every 4 Indigenous people experience racism in healthcare, she may not get the help she needs. Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
This is Rogers TV Ottawa.
Yoga is the connection of mind, body, and spirit. When we take time for ourselves, we're better able to show up in our day-to-day lives, knowing that the tools we need are always